is my first collab. I'm so excited to be here. A little bit nervous. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I'm Sabrina, and I'm with Salesforce. But more importantly, I'm a researcher like you all, and I'm so excited to deliver this message because I hope it's going to provide a lot of practical things that you can take away. So I'm here to talk about something that all of us are dealing with. As researchers and designers and builders, how do we adopt AI and still protect what keeps our work distinctly human? I've researched and developed a framework that provides structure and support to meet this new collaboration model. And I think there's going to be a lot of really practical things for you to take away. So first, a little background on me. I'm really happy to be back in Chicago. I went to graduate school here at Northwestern's Medill School of Journalism, where I was trained to understand the city's people, politics, and small businesses. I've worked as a broadcast journalist for 13 years, then moved on to public policy, healthcare marketing, and eventually product research. So I've worked in a lot of different environments with a lot of different stakeholders, but working with AI is a whole new different world. And like I've done every time I have a new work paradigm, I do what I do best, which is research. So for the last year, I've been looking at effective AI collaboration, ethics, and the future of work. I believe the framework I built along with other tech practitioners could help you, and even more importantly, those left behind in the AI conversation. So to bring this to life, I want to apply a couple of things that you may all relate to here in Chicago. The television series, The Bear. All right, so set just a few miles from here. I think some of us walked through that neighborhood to get to the restaurant last night. The Bear centers around an acclaimed chef, Carmy, and he's returning home from after his brother's death to run the family's struggling sandwich shop. For those unfamiliar, he's this uber-talented chef, but what makes the show really powerful is not just his skill. It's how he mentors another new sous chef and also those who were once left behind to transform a chaotic kitchen into something excellent. And that's where I see the parallel to what I want to share. The Bear isn't really about cooking fast. It's about building trust, competence, and care in the middle of this transformation. So stay with me. I'm actually going to share two stories from The Bear that connect directly to what I think about AI adoption. So in the Honeydew episode, Carmy sends Marcus, this is such a brilliant episode, he's a pastry chef, to Copenhagen. He's training with another renowned chef. He doesn't just come back with a new technique. He comes back with a deeper sense of self and a commitment to detail and practice. That's competence, not just knowing a tool, but developing discernment through real training. And then in the Forks episode, Richie, the unpredictable cousin, stages in a fine dining restaurant. He polishes forks, studies the room, and then he times the flow of service. What Richie gains is context, the awareness that even the smallest details really carry meaning. Structure and intention transform chaos into brilliance. The through line in both of these stories is the same. Discipline and training build confidence. And with confidence, you can look up, collaborate, and create something beyond yourself. For Richie, it was all about finding purpose as well, something he could only discover once he had structure and support. And that connects me directly back to my own work. Context, competence, and support are what allow people and organizations to transform with AI. So I'm a content researcher at Salesforce. There's not a lot of us. Not many people actually research content, but my job is to study documentation. I take a look at how people use product documentation and how that content either helps them or leaves them stuck. Content and content research, I argue, is more important than ever. Writing was one of the first use cases for AI, so a lot of people jumped to thinking, maybe we could replace writers with AI. This is really short-sighted. Some of my perspective comes from research at Salesforce, and some from a project I co-authored with peers in a Stanford ethics and technology course. We explored reskilling responsibly with AI. So here's a representation of what we came up with. It's the 4C cycle for effective AI collaboration. You can see it's a continuous loop, not a checklist. Each practice overlaps with the others because adopting AI is not linear, it's recursive. You set context, you build competence, you co-create, and you continuously oversee. I want to go through each C in more detail and give you a couple of examples. So context, I love, Dave, that you brought up context. It's really more than background. Without it, we risk delivering true but useless insights. I don't know if you've heard that term, TBUs, right? Context is what gives a recommendation meaning instead of disconnected facts. Here's evidence to bring it, back this up. As we developed the 4C cycle, we studied Helen Nissenbaum. She's a philosopher and ethicist. Her work on contextual integrity shows that trust depends on information being shared in the right setting, with the right people, for the right purpose. In my research at Salesforce, I saw how AI rollout started with automate first. A lot of pressure for the writers to be more productive, often caused confusion or resentment because they skip the deeper why. Context isn't just background, it really is power. It determines who's included, whose needs are prioritized, and who bears the risks. I have an example to bring this up, to bring this to life. So we've probably all experienced being locked out of your systems, password reset. At Salesforce, it still remains the top case driver. So without formal research, some product people were really focused on just the documentation and making them more effective. So they basically said customers are struggling with password reset and they aren't getting the information they need. We need to help them self-serve with more effective documentation when they're using AI search. Well, the problem is, what's effective documentation? So they brought me in. It turns out we have 1,500 to 1,800 documents that mention password reset. So we took a look. I observed customers. I talked with them. I audited the docs with content strategists. And we reviewed for the first time chatbot customer utterances. This is what I've partly delivered, the contextual insight. In reality, customers are often rushed. They do not type full prompts. In fact, they sometimes wrote just password or login. They didn't give any kind of context. So with 1,500 docs scattered across products, AI search blurs them into noise. Instead of clarity, customers get generic results that don't solve their problem. So this led to a very specific recommendation. We're actually creating one disambiguated password reset doc and offering improved prompts so that AI can surface the right reset path. And this seemed like a no-duh, but for the people that weren't part of the research, they just did not get that. So my takeaway for you all is that you're already doing this, right? We don't just report on the struggle, we actually uncover the context that makes your recommendation actionable. This may not be something AI can do on its own. Humans really matter. So moving on to competence. Competence with AI isn't about speed or clever prompts. It's about discernment, knowing when to question an output, when to push deeper, and when to pause if something seems off. In the research behind the 4Cs, educators told us that students are skipping revision and critique because chatbots just give them faster answers. The same thing is happening in workplaces with early career professionals who are asked to use AI before they've really built analytical skills. That's why practice matters. Carmi gave Marcus the time and space to actually grow and to pay attention to detail, and it really matters. and to build confidence through training. We need the same with AI, space to practice, revise, and critique so people build judgment, not just tool fluency. And that's what you already do as researchers. You don't just capture answers, you test them, you challenge them, and you refine them to find meaning. All right, so we first developed the 4Cs for executives because we were all working, the small group of tech practitioners in enterprise settings. And the signs that I'm seeing for this framework could actually be applied more broadly. What cuts across all of these settings is the importance of co-creation. Co-creation is more than participation. It's about trust. Trust grows when the people closest to the work are invited to shape how AI is used. When AI is rolled out top-down, it often fails, like it happened with some of our writers. But when people help design what's being used, adoption actually sticks. And this isn't anecdotal. We all know this, right, from participatory design, that when people are part of the process, they actually gain trust and effectiveness grows. And this is why co-creation matters. So I have an example to share with you. At Salesforce, the research team was having a lot of problems adopting AI, and that's because we didn't set expectations. So we decided to work together on setting a set of social norms. These norms are focused on 3 principles. 1, human-centered curation. AI is really good at generating a lot of findings that are plausible, but they're really flat. So we really want to get away from TBUs. We believe authenticity matters. So that's the first principle. The other 2 principles cultivate with thoughtful engagement. We want the team to actually slow down. We know that moving too quickly with AI can actually cause potential risks. And we need to build that thoughtful critique in the workflow to ask the right questions. And alignment and transparency. I don't know about you all, but we are asked to move a lot faster because of AI. People think, oh, you can synthesize this in a couple hours. Please give me another report right now. So we wanted to set clear expectations with our stakeholders, but at the same time, we're working as a research team to build transparent disclaimers on how we're using AI. So to make these norms even more actionable, we didn't want just to have a set of principles. We had a couple of workflow examples. Here's one of them. Treat AI like a skeptical assistant, right? It's important for you all to come up with your own hypothesis, but at the end of the day, you could use AI to question whether you have actually answered all the questions. Are there alternative interpretations? What evidence are you missing? This really did turn AI from a shortcut into deeper catalysts for analysis. And lastly, the most overlooked part of AI adoption happens often after launch. Too often, oversight is a one-time audit, but what we measure is what we value. If all we measure is speed and volume, we just have more content. 1,500, 1,800 documents is not great. We just have more research, we're moving faster, but are we actually having more impact? What matters is a lot harder to measure. Things like how do we interpret something, trust, psychological safety. These values could actually help shape the system. So at Salesforce, co-creating those social norms gave us a way to build this into practice. And it makes oversight less about compliance and more about learning together how to measure what really matters. So those are the 4 Cs: context, competence, co-creation, and continuous oversight. Each one matters on its own, but the cycle together is what creates lasting impact. Context gives meaning. It turns facts into insights that people can actually use. Competence helps us build judgment. It's not about prompts or speed, but knowing when to question and refine. Co-creation builds trust. When people shape AI, adoption actually sticks. And oversight helps us adapt, right? It's not a one-time audit. We evolve and measure what matters. And when we bring these things together, the cycle shifts us from chasing efficiency for its own sake toward building effectiveness. That's how we adopt AI adoption in ways that truly serve people. The 4 C's are one way to guide adoption, but what's at stake goes beyond frameworks. We are privileged in this room to work on big ideas. If we act with intention, we can extend opportunity. Circling back to my love for Chicago, I came here as a very young person with a lot of idealism, and I was really in awe of its vastness and the distinct neighborhoods in Chicago. And this brings me back to the question of who gets included in this transformation. If we move too quickly, AI won't close gaps. In fact, they will widen them. We will have a bigger, deeper digital divide, especially for those in under-resourced communities. That's why I'm interested in actually testing the framework, and we've just started doing that with nonprofits, seeing if outside of enterprise, we can actually make a big difference. So in schools, small businesses, community-led organizations, I think there's a lot of opportunity. The goal isn't to perfect it, but it's to co-create it with the people who are closest to the work. And remember, Richie's transformation didn't come from new tools. It came from structure and support that gave him purpose. From that, he found his brilliance. The bear is still a work in progress. Thank God there's going to be more seasons. And it's still building trust, competence, and care. And that's also what AI adoption should be about. As researchers, designers, and builders, our job is to help create the conditions so human brilliance can thrive. Thank you.